Hey, this is Andrew Frankel. I'm a voice actor slash dialect coach. You can find me at Accent Man Coaching on Instagram, and a singing electric fiddler and a songwriter, and a guy who did all kinds of crazy stuff live on Reddit during the pandemic. Currently, the voice of Fancy Fancy and Johnny Quest on HBO Max's Jellystone. It's a fun show. I like it a lot. You're watching In Conversation with Amber the Fangirl. ATF.
Hi guys, Amber here. Welcome back to another episode of In Conversation with ATF. My guest today is currently the voice of Jonny Quest and Fancy Fancy in HBO Max's Jellystone, which I actually started watching this morning. Very funny. Would recommend definitely. Before that, he used. Were you laughing? Oh, okay.
I'm always laughing.
Yeah. Me too.
Please don't let me interrupt you.
It's fine. Before all the voice roles, however, he was an audio engineer at Salami Studios in Los Angeles and got to work with some very famous people, including your favourite of mine, Frank Welker. Today he joins me live over Zoom. Well, this isn't live, this is obviously, the interview's live, but it's pre-recorded. Yeah, exactly, live for us. My guest today is Andrew Frankel.
That's how you say it. Andrew Frankel. Hi, nice to
be
here.
Yeah, definitely lovely to have you here. And you have Frank in your name.
I do.
Yeah. That makes you automatically cool.
Thanks for having me. This is really neat.
You're welcome.
This would be my first interview as a voice actor, so I appreciate that.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
You get the exclusive first look at
nice
what goes on in here. Yeah. No, but thank you. This is really neat.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, obviously, as I told you before the interview, I found you through Frank Welker's website. You sent him in a question for his Q&A page, and he responded to it. And, I was like, wow. And I noticed that you said you made it onto a show for Warner Brothers as the new voice of Jonny Quest and Fancy Fancy. I was like, are they working on a Top Cat reboot or something like that? And I was thinking, oh, Jellystone! So I checked the Wikipedia page and there it says Fancy Fancy, voiced by Andrew Frankel. I was like, wow! So he went from audio engineer to voice actor. Now, tell me, Andrew, how did that happen? How did you go from audio engineer to voice acting and you jumped straight in the deep end by having your voice on a big animated series?
That's true. It may look like that, but it wasn't an accident. I got out of school. In fact, before I even went to college, I said, I think this is what I want to do. I want to be in cartoons. And once I graduated, I thought I'm going to do everything I can to become a cartoon. First jobs I got were action figures and, tiny cartoons for commercials and stuff. But, I was back here. I was living with my parents and thinking, I got to get some kind of job. And I love sound, So I blasted every single audio studio just looking for some kind of job. I probably would have cleaned toilets if they asked me to. I just knew I wanted to get into a studio somehow. And the first person who got back to me was actually the guys over at Mark Grouse Studios. And they said, yeah, we're looking for audio engineers.
That is such a coincidence. I'm interviewing him tomorrow.
You want to talk about a legend? Mark Grouse is fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. Wow. that's a coincidence. Small world.
The whole voiceover world is kind of this parallel universe to Hollywood, especially because it's in Burbank, which is sort of the basement and storage space of Hollywood. Mm-hmm. Everything happens in Burbank. And so, they said, we have these classes and we need audio engineers. Do you know what you're doing with that? And I said, not really, to be completely honest. And they said, well, come back tonight and shadow, see what I had done before. I had always been writing, recording music. So I knew GarageBand, I knew the free apps and that kind of stuff. So I had a basic understanding how that all worked. And they set me down at this, in this booth with a 24 input board, a big digital, interface. It was nuts. And I started doing engineering for voiceover classes, Kalmanson and Kalmanson. For a long time, their classes, I met so many voice actors, a lot of beginners. But I knew, I'm doing this so that I can try and get into the voice acting game. Yeah. From there, I took a class at Salami Studios. with Charlie Adler, who is another legend. He
Wow.
was Buster Bunny and Cow and Chicken, and
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's
Yeah.
wonderful. And I knew I wanted to be in animation, and so I took that class, and I'd been learning enough of the engineering stuff that I asked the engineer for the class, said, "Do you guys need any help here? I do a little bit of audio engineering," and I've been maybe doing it for 3 months, 4 months. Um, but I knew Salami had a history also. They did Powerpuff Girls, they did Johnny Bravo, and out of those shows, like Seth MacFarlane and Butch Hartman, they went on to create their own shows. They were working on Johnny Bravo. I mean, there's a lot of history in that building. Luckily, they said yes, and I became a note taker. The guy who slates, the guy who sets up the microphones. But
Yeah.
every day I went in there, I got a front row seat to some of the most incredible voice actors out there
Wow.
right now.
That's
Yeah.
so cool. Wow, I'm personally jealous myself because one of my dreams is obviously to become a voice actress and to live in California, essentially. That probably won't happen for a good few years, so I guess this is the closest I can obviously get just to interviewing voice actors. You kind of like just build your way up, I guess.
This is a wonderful way to get started. Number one, to just get inside the heads of people who are doing it, to recognize it as a business and see how people are navigating that.
Yeah.
What's really cool right now is that you don't have to be in LA. And if I were going to give you any advice right now, I'd say reach out to people, reach out to agents in America, and set up a home studio. Because if you can Zoom with me, you can do what I did for the last year.
Was that recording for like Jellystone and stuff like that?
I recorded Jellystone right here in my bedroom.
Wow. Wow. I was going to say, I have spoken to my parents about potentially getting me an agent or something along those lines, but if I'm being honest, they really want me to focus on my college stuff and get my qualifications before I get an agent, or if I go into acting or voice acting or anything along those lines.
You know what I did?
What did you do?
I was in college when I wanted to do it as well.
Really?
And I got started, yeah. I was in my dorm room with a blanket over my head and a headset microphone, nothing fancy.
Yeah.
And I was doing jobs on voices.com. That's how I got started.
Wow.
Those first jobs give you insight into how people see your voice as a commodity, as something that they can use. I booked one little thing on there. It's called The Best Parts for Parade Magazine. And I ended up working with them on that project for the next 2 years.
Wow.
It was great, and it's a wonderful way to get started to work on creating a home studio that works. There's nothing that's stopping you. If it's an agent now, they're going to want to see that you've worked on some things. So don't let it stop you.
Well, it's partly because I spoke with my college tutor, and he said the course that I'm moving up to is a full-time commitment. It's 3 days a week, like 9 till 4 in the afternoon. We do performances. We work with the director of the National Theatre in London, do this sort of thing called Connections every springtime. And we mainly do a lot of, professional acting and stuff like that, but mainly working with theatre groups and stuff like that. And I think we're going on a school trip next year. I don't know where it's to, but I think it's somewhere up north. We're going to, for a week, I think. I could be wrong, probably am wrong. I think we're going to Scotland. We're going to, like, Edinburgh or somewhere like that.
That's north.
Yeah, up north. Like 4 hours up north. That's exactly where I'm going to see Frank Welker. 4-hour journey. That's going to be the longest I've actually been in a car, to be fair, if I'm being honest. Yeah.
It's doable.
Oh, yeah. My brother just did it. He just went to Edinburgh and back. He went to Edinburgh Zoo. They had a lot of penguins.
I wouldn't expect that, but okay.
Yeah. Literally, they had tons of penguins. Like, he literally FaceTimed me from the zoo, and he was like, "Look at this," and he just rotated his camera and there's all these penguins just running around with their arms behind their back. I was like, "Oh my gosh!" It was because I'm a huge fan of penguins. So,
Are you?
Yeah, they're one of my favourite animals. Aside from dogs, definitely, because I'm a dog lover.
Me too.
Oh, have you got any pets?
I got a German Shepherd named Kippy. She's
Oh,
tiny
I've got a little Shih Tzu called Benji.
Benji.
He's so cute. I'll have to try and find a photo of him. I probably have one in my camera because I'm constantly taking photos of him. So tell me, Andrew, how did you get booked for Jellystone? Are you already with an agent? Were you just getting started out? Are these your first voiceover roles, like professionally?
These are my first union animation, like primetime animation roles.
Yeah.
So it was a big deal.
Wow.
And full disclosure, we were actually recording Jellystone at Salami.
Really?
Yeah, right before I left. You know, because I left during the pandemic. Voiceover work started picking up. And yeah, I bounced around from a bunch of different agencies because animation is super competitive.
I was going to say, working at Salami when you were the audio engineer here, get a man who can do both voice act and audio engineer.
There's more of us than you think,
Really?
especially out here, because you gotta
Wow.
work for it and you gotta be able to, study it. And that was my little hack there.
Wow.
But the last thing agents want are, a guy who says, "Listen, I can do animation just as good as all the other guys." Everybody, and because everybody thinks that they can. I really believed in myself, and I had to find an agency that also believed in me. And strangely, I'm not even represented by a California agency. I'm represented by Buckwalden, New York.
Really?
So,
Wow.
Yeah. And again, it's just another testament to how you don't need to be in LA anymore. If you, I've never shaken any of my agents' hands because they're all in New York. And we met, in the last 2 years.
There are some people who have. Well, I know there's there's an agent called Atlas Talent. They have offices in both New York and Los Angeles, so it's essentially like, different parts of America. Also,
Yeah.
here's my dog.
Look at him. He actually looks like a Benji.
Yeah, he does, definitely. There's this. It's kind of like a trend, I guess. I took a video of him and I put it in a Discord server. It literally just went wild, and because what happened was I filmed a video of my dog's, not my dog, sorry, my mom like doing a little humming to my dog, and he just started staring at her like that. So my friend compressed him into a cube, and now Benji Cube was born. And it's just literally everyone sent their profile photos to Benji for at least a week. So he was like the biggest thing in that server at that point.
Dogs are really good at picking up sounds.
I love them.
I used to, my last dog, Cookie, she would get very confused if I made a strange noise. And the first time I did that, it was because she had something in her mouth. I didn't want to chase her around because I would have to like run around and like grab something from her because that was how she liked to play. And this one day, I was lying down. I was too tired to do it, and I went, "Huh," and she goes. I did it a second. I went, "Huh," and she drops it was a sandal in her mouth, and she starts doing that. The more and more I did that, she started howling, and this sort of became a way that like we could start howling together. We didn't do it for like 3 minutes at a time, but from then on, anytime, because I would practice like making weird sounds.
Yeah.
And if my dog reacted to it, I said, "That's a good sound. That's a good sound that can be used for something else."
Wow. I was going to say, my dog doesn't even react to anything on the TV. Doesn't even react to dogs barking on the TV or if a dog's barking outside. When we take him on walks, he doesn't like seeing other dogs. He usually gets scared, whether it's a dog bigger or smaller than him. But he loves cats. I remember once I was walking him, and he looked under a car, and he started wagging his tail. I was like, "What's under there, Benj?" And it was a big fat ginger cat under the car lying down. I was like, "What are you doing? You're meant to be enemies." So yeah, I don't know what's up with my dog. It's meant to be dogs chase cats, but I guess in Benji's case, it's dogs chase cats out of love and not
It's a
hatred.
very accepting dog.
Yeah, not accepting of his own kind though.
We see that these days.
Oh yeah, definitely. About Jellystone again. Did you audition for any other characters aside from Fancy and Jonny Quest?
I did. I
Wow.
auditioned. I think the first auditions I got were for Shagrug and for Snagglepuss.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and again, sort of an interesting thing as I was, because I got a little glimpse into it when I was recording it at Salami, and
Hmm.
we were recording Jabberjaw, and I said, this is so different. Um, and so for these auditions, I thought, maybe that was my little, you know,
Yeah.
insight, my little, what do you call it? I don't know, a little advantage.
Yeah.
And I realized I'm not stuck auditioning trying to do an impression of the old Hanna-Barbera cartoon. I can have fun with this.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes on an audition, if they just hear you having the most fun, that's that's what books you the job, especially for big charactery stuff, which is what I like to do.
Yeah.
I've done my fair share of straight commercial reads, sort of smiling sexy at the camera, and there's no camera, so you're kind of just talking to a microphone,
Yeah.
and it's fine, but it's not what I got into the business for. And so when you get to be, this is where he explodes, this is where he falls off a cliff,
Yeah.
I get to be there.
Yeah.
That's a lot more fun. Um, and so to go even further with that and say, don't feel like you have to bring this character back to life, because somebody, Fancy Fancy, for instance, he was originally a Cary Grant impression.
Wow.
If
See,
you go back to the old Top Cat
I haven't
cartoon,
watched Top Cat in years.
yeah, and actually all of the Hanna-Barbera stuff, they were based on these famous actors of the time.
Yeah.
And you know, it's a shame, but kids these days, you say, "Hey, you guys fans of Cary Grant movies?" They go, "Who?" And so, yeah, I didn't want to. I asked, I asked because by that point, I was in a session. They said, "Hey, we're gonna try and we want you to do Fancy Fancy also." And so, the night before, I'm Googling Cary Grant impressions just in
Yeah.
case. And it's like, oh, how am I gonna do this? And I said, do you want this to be Cary Grant? And they said, no, we kind of want him to sound like he's from New York. Can you do something like that? And I said, well, what kind of New Yorker? I'm like, well, he's an alley cat. I figured, all right, everybody's probably doing these like Brooklyn accents. They're all like, hey, how you doing, Top Cat? And I was like, we could do. You know who's from New York? Jerry Seinfeld's from New York. So I gave him a little bit of that. And I thought, who else is from New York is Christopher Walken. And so I put a little bit of that in there too. And I said, oh, DC. And so it's sort of this merging of Jerry Seinfeld and Christopher Walken. Um, and it lends itself nicely to like this big screaming parts where he's lying around, and at the same time he's got that sort of snide, arrogant, like, that's a mop with a broom on it.
Yeah. Well, I remember seeing a scene where it was like similar. I got a plan or something like that when they're trying to get their alley back, all the Top Cat and his friends, and then you're like, "Oh, give me a cowboy hat," and he's like, "No, you can't steal Benny's idea. He doesn't do this, but I want a cowboy hat. I want to look cool."
Yeah, it's a very Jerry Seinfeld read, um, to a lot of those lines. I mean, because
Yeah.
I grew up watching Seinfeld, I don't like that stuff.
Yeah, well, I grew up with Jerry Seinfeld and B movies, so essentially they're sort of the same line.
Yeah,
Actually, speaking of comedians, you're actually very lucky because aside from, well, I know, well, the series is full of comedians. I mean, well, apart from you and Jeff Bergman, who's also voice actor, and C.H. Greenblatt, who is the creator of Jellystone,
mhm,
everyone else is portrayed by comedians.
that's
Or I
right.
think is there any other voice actors in the show? Or are they all actors or comedians? I know people are probably saying, "Oh, celebrity typecasting. This is like the thing where they just put celebrities in it for the heck of it, and then, or they don't do any impressions. They just do their normal voice." But in this case, I've had a listen, and to be fair, the only comedian in this series I've heard of is Thomas Lennon, who voices Top Cat.
Tom's, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Tom, he
Um.
does a good job. Ron
Ev-
Funches is also a comedian. Um,
ah.
But no, I think it is mostly comedians at this point.
Yeah, they don't do their own voice. They actually do a sort of, kind of like their own thing. Thomas does a good Top Cat impression, and then everyone else, they sort of like put their own spin on it, and it's just really cool, especially Augie Doggy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it is Georgie Kidder? Is that who plays her?
Can I be completely honest with you? Being that we all recorded this,
well, it was
remotely,
Georgina Cordova. Yeah.
We never met.
What?
We never. Yeah. I mean, the only time I met C.H. Greenblatt was as a as an engineer, and I don't think he remembers. If he sees this, he'll that might.
Maybe it might re-jog his memory. I just knocked my phone. Excuse me.
No, it's everything was so strange in the last year because again everybody had to build home studios. I had one, for auditions, but I had to make it a bit better in terms of sound quality so that it could record full-on jobs from here.
Yeah.
And that also changed the way that these sessions go. As an engineer at Salami, I also worked on Thundercats Roar.
Oh wow! What other shows did you work on?
Oh gosh, I worked on a lot. And we did the Scooby-Doo stuff. We did all of the Barbie things, Castlevania. A lot. DreamWorks, the Madagascar series.
Oh wow!
I mean, there's a ton of stuff going on at Salami any given day.
I bet there is. There's a massive Scooby and Shaggy cut out in the foyer, I think.
Yes.
I believe that's been there for like over 20 years.
It has. It's faded. It's faded even more since I was there. It's been there for a long, long time.
Wow.
But the thing about shows like Scooby-Doo, you'd have Frank Welker, Kate McCucci, Matthew Lillard, and Greg Griffin. They would sit side by side and they would record the whole episode, or 5 or 6 episodes sometimes. Be in there for 4 hours, just nothing but it's great. But then something like Thundercats Roar, I remember those were the craziest records. Really fun because you would get 10 or 11 voice actors being as silly as they possibly could in the same room, in the same booth. And I hope that comes back because I'm sitting there on the other side of the glass being like, I want to get in there, but it was there was none of that for Jellystone because we were all recording from home.
Yeah, it just feels surreal, doesn't it? Yeah.
It is. It is. In some ways it feels like I've yet to make it because I'd like to get back into studios, work with people, and you get to react a lot better when there's another person in front of you.
Yeah, definitely. I've had one voiceover role. It wasn't anything big. I wasn't paid for it or anything. It was this coin-operated children's helicopter ride, just here.
Right.
So this was shown at a trade show in London, meant to be for distribution at places. It was meant to be shipped to America as well, but because of the pandemic, the company who made it went bankrupt. There's only 2 models in existence. There's one in Iceland, the country Iceland, and there's one up in Bradford, which is in Yorkshire in the UK. So, yeah, that didn't really go down too well.
Listen, I talk to any voice actor, they've got hundreds of stories where I did this cool thing and then it never existed. It's just a fact of the business. You did it. You did a job.
Yeah.
Somebody chose your voice. Somebody put it in a product.
Yeah.
You are, how most people get started, they say, oh, maybe I'll take a class and maybe somebody will discover that I'm brilliant or that my voice sounds really good and they'll want to use it. That's not being proactive about it. You did something. You took a step and it's the first step.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm distracted. Something's just come up on my Twitter. I do apologise. I'll put my phone out. I've just said on Do Not Disturb. Yeah, I'm one of those people who literally just go off topic. I know a lot of people out there are going to call me, well, why are you phone doing an interview that's so rude and stuff? Sometimes you're like, oh yeah, I get notifications and you spread up all I was on social media. That's literally me because I have ADHD, and Asperger's syndrome. autism spectrum disorder, so yeah, it kind of does get a bit hard for me sometimes. So
Nothing to worry
I
about.
apologise. Thank you, Andrew.
Of
Have you
course.
have you got any other projects coming up in the pipeline, like voice acting and stuff like that?
I do. I am not allowed to talk about any of them right now.
The good old NDAs,
I've signed a lot of NDAs.
non-disclosure agreements.
Yeah, but some more animation, couple things in a video game, couple video games.
Wow.
Dubs. You know, and week to week there's commercials. Just did a really fun thing yesterday, but I can't say anything about it. Yeah, there's more coming.
This won't be the last we hear or see of you, Andrew.
Probably not. I'm gonna stick around for a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. You haven't even properly gotten started. It's done Jellystone, but you have so much potential in this
Thank you.
acting world. Yeah,
Thank you.
you're
No,
welcome.
it does feel like I'm just getting started, and
Yeah,
there's,
every person has to start somewhere.
that's the truth.
Yeah. What about audio engineering? Are you still at Salami, or have you
I'm
properly
not.
left now?
No, I left just after the pandemic hit.
Uh-huh.
Because first it was, you can't come in. And then the work started coming in, and I actually started working for other studios, and this is another thing that voice actors have to deal with, is for much of 2020, I was doing remote engineering from here as well. And that's another thing that's going on, is audio engineers aren't even in studios anymore. They will be working over Source Connect,
Uh-huh.
and so you're on Source Connect working, you know, editing it as it comes in. Voice actors on Source Connect, and they are sending a signal that gets recorded on the audio engineer's computer, and then they route that to Zoom so that all of the producers and people working on it, they can hear what's going on. And the Zoom gets routed back through Pro Tools back to the voice actors so that they can direct it. It's a whole different model for recording this stuff. But again, Jellystone, my engineer was in Florida.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Wow. So you must have come on like Source Connect or Zoom or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously you're not just an audio engineer and a voice actor. You're a teacher as well because you do private coaching.
I do.
Wow.
I do.
So
That's
tell me a
another
bit about that.
That's another thing that I started actually right before the pandemic, because seeing all of the voice acting classes that I engineered, um, there's a lot of voice acting classes, especially in LA. There really aren't many that teach people how to do accents.
Yeah.
And as I was sitting there in those animation sessions, voice actors would come in, and it would be their first job or their second job, and you can always tell who's kind of, you know, new, and always thanking everybody for thank you for that direction, thank you for that, yes, oh, can't wait to come back, thank you so much. And you mean it when you're there, because it's like, I got one. But they would get into the booth, and then you're always there to record, you know, one voice. But if it's a union show, they can pay you the exact same amount for up to 3 voices for an episode. And so you always have to be prepared when they say, hey, we also have this other character, do you have any other voices? So that's when, you know, voice actors will tell you, like, it's not about doing voices. You know, it's not about how many voices you can do. No, sometimes it is. Sometimes the director says, we need you to sound different than the other person you just played. And so the next question they ask after that is, well, do you do any accents? And I was shocked how many times I heard voice actors look back through the glass and say, well, not really, no.
I do a variety, to be fair. I visit a lot of places, and mainly UK dialects like Scouse or Brummie or Manchester or Scottish accent, anything along those lines, or Welsh, anything like that. So any regional accents, that's what they're called.
Welsh is a tough one.
I was brought up on the border, so I'm kind of working on my Welsh. It's not that good, of course, I'm not. I know this person who's got a really good Welsh accent, but I sound Irish. I'm sorry. Yeah, so good. You think he was Welsh, and I thought he was Welsh, and he was like, no, I deal with the British accent. I'm like, what? So, yeah.
The British ones are fantastic.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I was a big Monty Python fan growing up, and then years later, Little Britain. I started watching that.
I love Little Britain. Have
Little
you seen
Britain.
Have you seen Come Fly With Me?
I've seen some of it.
Oh yes,
I've seen
yes,
some of it.
yes.
No, I learned all of my UK dialects from Monty Python and Little Britain.
You absolute legend.
No, I mean, I did. I still do. I still do impressions of just about every Little Britain character out there. I love those, and with those comedy shows, you don't even think about. You just want to do the character, and you don't realize that you're picking up the accent along with it. But those. So anyway, I wanted to. In addition to those accents that I was always working on, in LA, you got people from all over the world, and so you can always ask them, where are you from? And you learn these little eccentricities, and you speak that way because you had to learn a different language, and there's something going on with I love just analyzing people's speech. It's like, you're placing it here, that's a different sound than I'm used to hearing, and then, there's a whole science behind it. There's history to every single person's voice, and
yeah,
I discovered I'm a little passionate about it, and it's something that I can help people with. So I developed this class called the Accent Man 6-week class, 6-week challenge, and it's 5 accents in 6 weeks. Some people take it over Zoom. As soon as I can get people back in the studio, we are going to have a proper class. But in addition to that, it's like I had somebody ask me for a northern English accent just yesterday, and we spent a couple hours working on that.
Wow.
So
That's so cool.
it's fun. And it's there's skills that you learn them once, you practice them, and then you've always got them in your back pocket.
You're literally just a voice actor starting out, and you're already coaching the next generation who could be voicing cartoon characters in like 2040 or something like that.
Maybe.
Wow.
So some of my students are older than me, and that's the fact.
Wow.
You're never too old to learn something new.
I agree with that, definitely. Back to accents. I think my favourite one is probably a Scouse accent because, I went to a school, most of the teachers were Scouse. A lot of my teachers have been Scouse from all the schools I've been to in my lifetime. I also, based it off Ringo Starr, who's narrator of Thomas the Tank Engine.
Sure.
So I sort of like a beat.
More than that.
A Beatle, so you sort of get it off on your nose, and you sort of talk a bit like this, oh yeah, Ringo Starr, sort of a Scouse accent like this, oh yeah, this is, this interview, it's all virtual, isn't it? Yeah.
It's all virtual, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Sometimes when I'm doing it though, I kind of morph into a different accent. Like I could be doing Scouse and I slowly morph into a Birmingham accent. So.
Well, the good news is in America, most people don't pay that close attention to the minute differences between accents.
Yeah.
And the other weird thing that I keep hearing all over the world is just how people just are sounding more and more Californian, no matter where they're from.
Yeah.
It's that whole internet thing there's this monoculture that's sort of evolving, and you get this sort of Valley Girl affectation from South Africans and from Australians, and it's like, this is not the Australian accent 30 years ago.
Okay, sorry, just shut my blinds because it's literally just going dark. When it went in the UK, it's just light and then nightfall. Yeah. Yeah, I've been trying to get a voiceover agent. Tried in the UK, but they're just hard to come across. And as I said before, my parents won't really let me get an agent. No, well, they're always like, why didn't you get an agent yet? They're also like, oh, why didn't you complete your college qualifications first? Because I'm studying performing arts,
Sure.
VTech performing arts. So it's really down to that. But I spoke with another voice actress, and she has. She's not British, but she's friends with her agent, who is a voiceover agent based in New York, and she's asked if I could reach out to her, maybe, and she's given me a lot of advice on making a demo reel as well, so I'm going to try and do that, because I've had one audition come through, and I need a demo reel sent off, so I need to work on that. I need to try. If you've got any advice,
Yeah, I got tons of advice. Oh my
I would
God.
love it. I would love it.
Yeah, so, I mean, the first thing you need, no matter what, is a microphone.
Got one.
Perfect. If you can audition for anybody, opportunities out there. So if you can find a job, if somebody needs a voice for something, you can volunteer for that. You can create a reputation for yourself in your community without having representation. Once you've done that, and even if you haven't done that, you can do the same exact thing online. You can do one of these pay-to-play sites. It's how I got started. It's how you become a working professional. And you can act. Anybody can act. Anybody can get behind a microphone and do this. At a certain point, being professional is a really important part of what gets you hired.
Yeah.
The way you communicate that to people is with a demo. So, demo, show what you can do. Take risks. The first spot in my demo is the exact opposite for my commercial demo. It's the exact opposite of what commercials are these days.
Because every commercial right now is just quietly talking to you. Just quietly talking and smiling.
And I can do that. A lot of people can do that.
Yeah.
The first thing I did, I had a real kind of a vulgar lead-in, which was kind of like a, hey, what's going on there? And it was this, different words, but those inflections. And to stick out instantaneously is going to be what books you, because most people don't have the attention span to listen for that little spark of genius that happens 25 seconds in.
Yeah.
So slap them across the face with something great, and then show them what else you can do.
Sounds good. I mean, the audition I've got coming is a casting call. Basically, there's some British holiday parks in the UK. You have like mascots, and they put on shows and at the theatre stuff that they have on the parks, and they're looking for voice actors for obviously different parks with different mascots. So I've applied, and they're looking for a demo reel. To be fair, I haven't started working on it. I'm still writing the script out for it, because obviously I haven't done anything apart from that one helicopter role. So
Sure.
What do I do? Do I make fake scripts or something like that? Or do I read a monologue? I don't know.
That's what I did. I made a bunch of fake scripts.
Wow.
I made a bunch of fake scripts. I put music in underneath them. This is, again, working as an audio engineer helped. But originally, yeah, that's what I did. I put together my own reel. They tell you not to do that. They say hire a professional. But you're just getting started, get started.
Yeah. Well, I mean, on my phone, I still have the raw audio files from that helicopter ride, because I literally recorded it in my room with my headphones in, no blanket over my head because I had no soundproof stuff, and I literally just did it into voice memos.
Sure.
That's how I did it, and wow.
That's the other thing about demos is it doesn't have to all be work that you've done.
Yeah.
More than anything, it's a marketing tool, and so the person listening to it has to be able to listen to it and go, this is what I can use her for.
Yeah.
And so as long as you have an idea that you want to communicate, you want to give people the idea, this is what you can use me for, these are all the different things that I can do for you, they'll pass that around. They say, you know what, maybe not right away, but I don't have somebody who does that.
Yeah.
Or you've got something interesting. So yeah, my advice, get started, make something. Put it out there. Send it to people. Send it to people who don't even want it. It's you know, and if people say, hey, don't send this to me, you sent it to them anyway.
Yeah.
You send it to them anyway, because more than anything, this job teaches you to have a thick skin.
It does. It definitely does indeed. I've had a few auditions in the past, not for voice acting, but for TV soaps. They were looking for an autistic woman once. I was too young to play the role, and now they're looking for people who are younger than me to be in stuff. Now that I'm the right age, which was 16 for that audition, I was only about 14 at the time, so...
Yeah.
Yeah. Another question just regarding voice roles, just one final question about voice roles. What's more important to put in it? Should I put different high pitch and low pitch, or, you know, different tempo voices? Or should I have a variety of accents? Or should I have, like, different, like, international accents? Like, what if I had, like, would American accent be good in there? Would a Scouse accent be good in it? Would a sort of boy's voice in this look kind of cool? Because, you know, I kind of...
I had the same exact question when I got started. And more than the first thing that anybody can use you for, the first thing that anybody will ever want to use you for is a commercial.
Yeah.
And that's, how can you help me sell what I'm selling? They want to make money with you. So first you want to, it's not about pitch. It's not about accents. It's not about sounds. And that hurt for me to hear, because I was like, but I got so many sounds. I got so many accents. I can do them all. And that's not what people are looking for. So what you do with all that stuff is you say, this is my accent reel.
Yeah.
And you put that on a website, or you just have it in your back pocket in case somebody asks, like, do you do accents? Here's all of them.
Yeah.
If you have a really good high-pitched voice, that's not just a voice, but it's a character. If you go around here like, hey, I'm gonna be character, I'm gonna be all these things, you know, you're gonna get somebody's attention with that, but it might not be the first thing. So it doesn't pitch.
Yeah.
Fine. We can
Well,
do
I
pitch,
find.
but,
I find. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry.
No, it's alright. You go ahead first.
Okay. Sorry, I was on a roll. It's you are showing them not, you know, here's everything I can do, I'm wonderful. It's this looks like the problem you have. You know, you're trying to sell something, you need somebody to sound relatable, so maybe relatable is something that you do. Or you need somebody who sounds sarcastic, so maybe sarcastic is something. And it's not how many voices can you do, it's how many people can you be. You know, and so I can be your friendly guy. Hey, been nice talking with you. Or I can be that guy who's like, what are you talking about? And it's not the voice that's changed, it's the attitude.
Yeah.
So if you can make somebody feel 5 or 6 different ways in 60 seconds, that's a good demo.
Yeah, definitely. What I find really funny though is how an accent can really change like the pitch of someone's voice. Like say if you that high voice before, let's say if I had an American accent, I could sort of sound if it's something like this, something you'd hear in a cartoon or something like that. But if I had something a bit like this, like a British accent, it would make me sound all snooty and weird. Like, yeah, oh no, that voice, I hate that voice. The American accent's better. So it's like it kind of changes like the sort of situation.
You use them all. You use them all. And by the way, and I think you just did it, but in my observations of all of the best voice actors out there, what happens when they start voice acting, they cease to be. They disappear. It's like their brain has reconfigured and somebody else is there. And that's what you just did with that American voice. And if I have any advice for you, because a lot of people don't take this, lean into that and dig into it, because the harder you commit to this weird character, and the less you exist in that, that's when a character is born. Hold on to that feeling, because that's what it is.
Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate that advice. You've really helped me.
I hope so.
I'm gonna work on that demo reel after this.
I hope you do.
Yeah.
I hope you do. Send it to me.
I will definitely. It'll definitely be done by next week, depending on how busy I am, because I start my college course.
Don't rush it, but make it great.
Actually, don't rush it. I don't know when that audition, the deadline is. So after this, I'm gonna email them and ask. And if they say, oh, it's next week, I'm like, oh, I gotta get some stuff out. Even if it's only just like 4 dialects, I'm like, I can do more, but obviously, yeah.
Don't show them your whole hand. You know, one of the greatest things, and this is another Frank Welker thing that I learned, is like, you don't let everybody know, here's everything I can do all the time. It's, you know, oh, you asked me to come in and play this guy.
Would you happen to need somebody who talks like this?
It's like, hey, we need somebody who talks kind of like that.
Oh, you mean like this?
And so then you do it. Then you reveal it when they ask for it, and then you look like a genius. But it's not. It's just, what did you need? Oh yeah, it's like Batman having it. You know, like, oh, good thing I have my, you know, this voice. That's what you do.
I find it easier if I was given the photo of a character and then I was asked to come up with a voice for that character. So then you can see which one is right. I don't really, you know, when you have to audition, they don't give you a voice. They just like, oh yeah, come up with a girlish voice. I'm like, well, I need to see a photo of the character because what would she sound like? You know, you look at someone, you look at let's just say you get what's the face from Jellystone? Spook, you know, the silent green cat. You're thinking, oh yeah, well, I know she's silent, but I'm pretty sure she taught like this if she sort of got an accent or something like that, sort of like a Brooklyn accent, something like that.
Yeah.
Wow, that felt really weird. It felt like I wasn't even in my own body for a second.
That's what you want. That is what you want.
Wow. It feels surreal. I feel like I'm lifting up.
It should feel like that. And that's, you know, if you don't get the picture all the time, and a lot of times you won't, they'll give you a description. Sometimes the descriptions are really unhelpful.
Yeah.
And what you do, and this is what a good voice acting class will teach you, is you look for clues in the script. You think, how is this person thinking? How does this character formulate thoughts? How do they interact with the world?
Yeah.
And you can look at one line generally and be like, that's what this character's all about.
Yeah. I mean,
and sometimes reading that'll give you the idea for the line.
Yeah, I mean, UK voice actors don't even try. Well, yes, a lot of them do, but that's usually when dubbing. But seriously, when we're doing shows over here, animated ones, we hire celebrities, similar to how Jellystone does it, but when we hire celebrities, they don't do silly voices. They just use their own voice. Yes. Like, let's say if I was on a famous TV EastEnders, Coronation Street, for about a good 5 years, and they got me to do this kids show, usually if I was in America, I'd be like, oh, sort of zany and stuff like that. But then if it was just a girl who's like really cool and she sort of like has different adventures and stuff like that, you would really want me sort of sounding like, I'm not sure how loud that is, but I think, you know, if I talk like this in the soap and then just talk like that on the show, they'd be like, that's the same character. I mean, there's a few voice actors who literally reuse the same voice for like 8 different characters from 8 different franchises over here, and you're like, that's the same person. That's the exact same cartoon character, but in a different body. That's literally all I can think of. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, even at Salami, we would have celebrities come in, and you know, it's like I said, the really great voice actors, they disappear. Yeah. When you cast a celebrity, you're asking them not to do that. You know, you want to watch like all the Pixar movies. They generally have these celebrities.
Tom Hanks, Tim Allen.
Tom Hanks, Tim Allen, or you know, The Rock.
The Rock, yeah.
Or
Keegan Peele.
Them too, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Ducky and Bunny. I have that plushes on my bed.
Yeah.
Of Ducky and Bunny, yeah.
There you're kind of asking, you know, we want the adults taking their kids to these movies to go, oh, who is that? That sounds familiar. Oh, that's that guy. You know, and the image that you put in somebody's head, like, you know, Billy West, I used to love Billy.
I love Billy West. Yeah, I love him. So funny.
He used to say, like, the job of the voice actor is to imagine the entire world and spit it out into a microphone, you know, and have that all come through. And what you get with a lot of these celebrities who are just like, well, I'm here to pick up, you know, I want to do this role, I want to be in the movie. My kids are big Disney fans. What you get, the world that they're communicating through their mind is, here I am, I'm in a studio, this is the sound of my voice. And it sounds like a voice in a studio.
Yeah.
And so, you know, with Pixar, the animation's so good that, like, you get these little nuances in the faces that enhance
individual strands of hair that take an hour to render.
Yeah.
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 Attention to detail is amazing.
But that's as you mentioned that I did try to teach myself to animate in the last couple
Oh,
of years.
really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So that gives you a real insight also into what the job of an animation voice actor is, because you record something and then you're stuck drawing it and you're like, what did I tell myself to draw here? Is it just lips flapping? And when you start thinking about it in terms of like, what am I making happen in the scene? That's acting.
Yeah, and I say, whenever I see an animated character, I would rather remember them for how silly and funny their voice is. I don't care who voice acts them, whether it's Billy West or Tara Strong or Frank Welker. If it's a celebrity, then I just associate that celebrity with that character. Like, you think, oh no, it's just, all I think of is them. But if it's a voice actor, they're more memorable for their voice and how they make them sound. And yes, as much as I love them voice actors, I associate that character with their voice. Because it gives them a distinctive personality instead of, like, a personality, obviously, because celebrity voice, celebrity typecasting, something along those lines.
I think the big difference is, you know, with a celebrity, it's I'm here, and with a voice actor, it's I'm not here.
Yeah, exactly.
And
yeah.
That's, you get to just interface with the character as the audience.
I see, definitely. Yeah. Wow. That was amazing.
I'm glad.
Yeah, definitely. I am as well. Oh, man. Wow. Andrew, I have had so much fun talking to you, and I'm so glad that I have been the first person to interview you as a voice actor. And I say the best part about being a voice actor is the interviews. The interviews that you do, you just get to talk about yourself. It's just brilliant, and I'm very glad to be the first person to talk to you, and I wish you many more interviews to come.
Thank you. This has been a pleasure. I love talking about myself.
I do as well.
No, really, thank you so much. This has been great.
You're welcome. Where can we find you on social media then, Andrew?
I'm all over the place. Instagram, Andrew Frankel Voice and Accent Man Coaching. YouTube, if you want to hear me sing and do some weird stuff with an electric violin, just go to youtube.com/c/Andrew Frankel World, or just look up Andrew Frankel on YouTube. You'll find some stuff. I sang the entire Bee movie. That's one thing that you can see.
What?
Anyway, yeah, look, just watch it.
Wow. I will definitely
anyway.
watch it.
Anyway, really, thank you so much. This is awesome.
You're welcome, definitely. And I'd love to have you on again in the future. Maybe when you've had a lot more voice roles. Maybe when you're up there. You are up there with Frank Welker, Tara Strong. You've got a lot of voice roles under your belt. And this is just the beginning. It'd be cool just to interview you from a year on and say how much you've grown. And how much more voice acting you've done.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Definitely. Like an updated one. Maybe. Yeah. So, everyone, thank you so much for watching this episode of In Conversation with ATF. It's been such a pleasure to talk to Andrew and to be the first person to interview him. Definitely, and very, very big pleasure to have him on my show. So thank you for watching or listening, however way you watched or listened. Thank you for tuning in, and it's goodbye from me and goodbye from Andrew.
Goodbye. Thank you
goodbye.
so much.
You're welcome. Bye and cut.